It is 49ers Rams prediction time. I guess they've got Caspers down in LA now too. Might have to try one out there after I fly down from San Francisco today. But first we got to talk about this matchup between the most injured team in the NFL. The 49ers have the most money right now on injured reserve, and the least injured team in the NFL, the Rams, who not surprisingly are favored by a full touchdown now, 7 points. It's going to be very interesting to me to see what the spread is in November, assuming the 49ers return to a reasonable level of health. That is when the rematch is at Levi's Stadium. For San Francisco, the goal over the first month plus of the season is to stay afloat so they could get some of their guys back and then attack the softer underbelly of the schedule. This might be the most difficult single game for the 49ers on this entire 17-game schedule, given their health situation and the quality of the opponent. The Rams are number 3 DVOA, defense adjusted value over average, after the first month of play. Seattle, by the way, is number 1. So the NFC West is looking very strong. You got, analytically, Seattle and the Rams as 2 of the top 3 teams in football. I think the 49ers, who have already beaten Seattle on the road, but have more injury problems than either of those 2 teams, they're the sleeping giant in the division. If the 49ers do get healthier, and they are projected to get healthier, the problem is you can't be suffering other injuries while guys are returning. But if they do get healthier, then the 49ers will be right there. And there's going to be a big 3 at the top of the NFC West, and it's going to be similar to the NFC North last year. The Packers, the Lions, and the Minnesota Vikings. I guess the Arizona Cardinals would be the Chicago Bears of the NFC West. Sad. But can the 49ers get this done on Thursday night? Listen, it's going to be an uphill battle. I think you have to be very realistic. Shout out to the House of Prime Rib again. I mentioned last week Joe Betts, the longtime owner, had passed away. But when we talk about realism and the 49ers, they don't have the firepower in this game to win in a track meet. So they would have to really, really pare this down and play it at a phone booth physical level. The problem is the Rams have gotten a whole lot more physical than the teams that the 49ers used to get well against. And I get it that the 49ers beat the Super Bowl champion Rams in 2021 twice in the regular season, once when it was a true get-well game for the 49ers at Levi's Stadium. But I think that the Rams now come in waves along that defensive line that can punish the run as well in ways they didn't before. They had Aaron Donald, and he would erase a lot because he's one of the greatest to ever suit it up for the at the defensive tackle at any position on defense. I mean, Aaron Donald was awesome, but now the Rams, they don't have a player of his caliber, but they have so many hungry young players mixed with veterans like Poona Ford up front that I don't think that you can play the 3 yards in a cloud of dust game with this Rams team anymore. I think that they've intentionally stiffened up along both lines of scrimmage, and with their power run game, Kyren Williams is now the back to where they've actually covered up some of the deficiencies that the 49ers used to expose on an annual basis. And when that happens, you've got to be able to also go toe-to-toe with them in the explosiveness department, right? To be able to beat this team. This is why the Rams are number 3 DVOA right now, because this is a roster that is performing essentially in all facets. For the 49ers to win this game, we got a ambulance going by right now, so it's a little loud, as you can see there. We got the noises of the city as we move down Van Ness toward the water. But for the 49ers to win, they're going to have to score a couple freebies in the turnover department. And that's what they haven't done yet in this 2025 season. They rank number 31 in turnover differential. I know that they've gotten close a couple times to securing key takeaways, but they haven't done it through the air. Fred Warner has forced a fumble. Sam Okawanu forced a fumble against Seattle. That was a huge takeaway. Warner's forced fumble, that one came against the the New Orleans Saints back in week 2, and it was also huge against Alvin Kamara, who rarely fumbles. But they're going to have to do it through the air, and they're going to have to take advantage of the fact that Matthew Stafford does serve up potential interceptions. He has done it against the 49ers several times. And the times that the 49ers have taken advantage of the interceptable Matthew Stafford passes are the times that the 49ers have beaten the Rams. Go back to 2021, Jimmy Ward, pick 6. 2022, Talanoa Hufanga, pick 6. 2023, Diomaro Lenoir sealed the game with an interception. You know, I could go back to 2021, Ambry Thomas sealing the game in overtime with an interception down at SoFi. 2024, Matthew Stafford at Levi's threw 3 balls that should have been intercepted, and the 49ers dropped all 3 of them, and they lost the game. And the 49ers, that was part of this long interception drought that the 49ers are on that goes back to November of last season. So the 49ers actually need to take the ball away, and they need to probably generate some pressure to get more opportunities to take the ball away. I know they don't have Nick Bosa. It might take some complex blitzes from Robert Saleh. I thought that he was holding back a little bit against Jacksonville, which would make sense given the fact that was an AFC South opponent, and this time San Francisco is facing a divisional opponent, and they're going to be shorthanded. This is a kitchen sink kind of game if you're a coach. What you throw at the Rams in this one probably should be your best stuff. And maybe we see some new pressure from Robert Saleh early and often to try to get Matthew Stafford out of sorts and try to get a couple of those dirty turnovers. Because I think that's what San Francisco would need to even out the significant disadvantage in personnel that they have in this game. One thing about the Rams offense is that Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams account for nearly 2/3 of Matthew Stafford's targets, which is a lot. Like, the Rams throw to their top 2 targets at a higher rate than any other team throws to its top 2 targets, which means that I think if you play this correctly as Robert Saleh, you can parlay that into some takeaway opportunities, into some of those interception opportunities. Look at this tight turn that we're making. I love that. Now we're going up a steep hill right behind Casper's brother. There's his cousin coming down the hill. Look, we're passing his brother. That's funny. Or we're taking a different route today, but it's good because we're getting around the traffic. We're going to arrive in 7 minutes. But if Stafford is going to Nacua, who's really good, and obviously Devontae Adams, who's really good, more often than he's going to anybody else by a wide margin, the 49ers might be able to gamble in some places. And they're going to have to gamble, I think, through their blitz game to get to Stafford to set themselves up for some of the interceptable opportunities. So if the gambles pay off, maybe the 49ers can get into position where they even out some of what I expect to be a statistical advantage in terms of yards per play and other efficiency for the Rams. You saw Jacksonville actually nullify the 49ers statistical advantage with takeaways. San Francisco would have to do something similar in this game. The problem is they haven't been generating nearly enough of them so far. But it's not like they haven't been close. So that's why I would say look out for that. On the side of the 49ers offense, I know that we probably won't learn a starting quarterback until tomorrow. I tend to think it'll probably be Mac Jones, but I'm not sure. I think that is up in the air right now. I think they're waiting to see how Brock Purdy feels. Whoever is under center for the 49ers, this needs to be a pared down attack. It needs to be something where you recognize that you don't have your full weaponry on the outside, because I don't think Ricky Pearsall is going to play. He's questionable. Jawan Jennings, questionable. Hurting at the very best for the 49ers, right? So you go back to the 2021, 2022 game plans against the Rams where, yeah, it was a 3 yards in a cloud of dust game plan. It was a very short passing game-oriented game plan. That, I think, possession has to be the ultimate goal for the 49ers in this game, because then you keep your defense on the sideline, then you limit the amount of snaps that Robert Saleh has to throw his bag of tricks out there. If you limit those amount of snaps, then he could throw more surprises at the Rams and try to generate some takeaways. It is Thursday night football, so potentially, because there's limited practice time for both teams, nobody's practicing full speed this week. Potentially, if you're Robert Saleh, You can throw a few wrenches in that Rams defense, but your defense has to be limited in its exposure out on that field. And that's why possession is paramount for the 49ers. That's why I talk about trying to shorten this game. I talk about just taking the profit offensively. So if you're Shanahan, you tell Brock Purdy or Mac Jones, whoever starts, take the profit. Don't take these unnecessarily risky throws over the middle. So in some games, they are necessarily risky. For this game plan, I think that if the 49ers have those underneath checkdowns and they can move the chains and they could just hog the ball, there's a difference between moving the ball, which the 49ers have done effectively. They did against Jacksonville's top defense. They did it against Seattle as well. There's a difference between moving the ball and hogging the ball. And the 49ers are going to want to hog the ball in this game. All of that being said, that is a very narrow path to victory for the 49ers. So, my prediction is that the 49ers are going to lose this game. And I think that, the way that the Rams are playing right now, they're playing with some explosiveness on offense. I know that I said that Adams and Nacua are getting the majority of the targets, but as soon as the Colts zeroed in on both of those guys, Tutu Atwell caught the game-winning touchdown pass. Defenders slipped, and he ran forever. And Tutu Atwell caught a big one against the 49ers at SoFi last year. So the Rams can test you in many different ways beyond Nacua and Adams, even though that's where they primarily go. I think that they're playing at a confident level. I think that they give the 49ers a lot of matchup problems in San Francisco's current state. And I just don't think that San Francisco, unless they do break from what has been the first month tendency of not forcing enough takeaways, I just don't see the 49ers evening this out. I do think that they're going to be in much better position in November. As I've said, a 3-3 start even would be okay for the 49ers. 3-2 definitely would be okay when we look at the bigger picture. It's a really good thing they stashed those wins against Seattle and Arizona. This one, though, I think the 49ers come up short in. I think they're able to put up 17 points against the Rams, but I think the Rams put up 27. I think this is a 10-point loss for San Francisco. 27-17 Rams, the final score. That is my prediction for this game on Thursday night, but no, it will not be the end of the world if the 49ers are not able to win. Just the way that it's working for San Francisco right now, they have to weather the storm and then move on. All right, we'll talk to you guys soon.